At every school, in every PTA, and on every group text of exhausted mothers juggling field trips, school lunches, and soccer schedules, there is always one. At my son's school, that one is Brianna, Logan's mom. Now let me be clear, I didn't go looking for drama. I'm a pretty low-key person. I try to stay in my lane, keep my friendships sincere and boundaries intact. But Logan's mom? She's like glitter in a carpet, once she's in, she's everywhere, and getting rid of her is nearly impossible. Before we go any further, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. I love seeing how far this little story can travel. Let's make this space feel a little more connected. No matter how many miles are between us, she appeared seemingly out of nowhere a couple of years ago, all manicured nails and oversized designer sunglasses, driving a brand new Jaguar that she parked sideways across 2 spots at pickup. Rumor had it she was recently divorced from a tech exec and now living comfortably off alimony and child support. Nobody knew the exact numbers, but considering her car, the full-time housekeeper, and the luxury gym with a eucalyptus steam room she had to rush off to, we could all guess it wasn't peanuts. At first, she seemed friendly, overly friendly. She made a big show of introducing herself to other moms at the school gate, dropping compliments like confetti. "I love your leggings, are they Lululemon? You have such great taste. Oh my gosh, you make school lunch look like a Pinterest board." You could feel her trying to wedge herself into group chats, carpools, and coffee meetups like someone squeezing into a dress 2 sizes too small. And then came the babysitting requests. The first time she asked me to watch Logan, it seemed innocent enough. "Just an hour," she said, all breathy urgency. "My gel manicure is chipping and I've got this event tonight, please? You'd be saving me." I said yes. 1 hour turned into 3. From that point on, it was like I'd opened a door I couldn't close. Logan was over every week, sometimes twice. She'd drop him off with a wave and a rushed, "You're an angel," and then disappear, often not even responding to texts until hours later. One time, she left Logan at another mom's house overnight without so much as a call to check in. Not an emergency, not a work conflict, not even a traffic jam. No, she had a facial, followed by a deep meditative float and lost track of time. The other moms started swapping stories. Apparently, I wasn't the only one being drafted into involuntary childcare. One mom watched Logan during a playdate and didn't see his mom again for 7 hours. Another had to serve him dinner and bedtime snacks because she simply didn't show up until 9:45 p.m. And there was always an excuse: her lash appointment ran late, she absolutely had to run into Neiman Marcus, or the most outrageous one, she had a visionary sound bath session she couldn't leave midway. The birthday party incidents were a whole saga of their own. She RSVP'd yes to everything. She never offered to help. She never stayed. She was always early dropping Logan off. And at least 2 hours late picking Logan up, sometimes later. What's worse is how seamlessly she inserts herself into other people's family plans. Hear someone mention a zoo trip, and suddenly she's gushing, "Oh, Logan would love the zoo. He's obsessed with meerkats. I'd totally cover his expenses if he could tag along." Except here's the thing, say yes once, and you're done for. Logan becomes part of your weekend life by default. He's invited, or worse, just shows up, at the amusement park, the lake, the pumpkin patch, even your in-laws' barbecue. And while Logan is actually a sweet, well-mannered 8-year-old, there's a line between generosity and being used as a free childcare service. It's gotten to the point where conversations screech to a halt when she enters the room. You can almost see the collective body language shift. Shoulders tense. Smiles become tight. Moms glance nervously at each other as if to say, "Please don't mention the beach trip," or she'll invite Logan. But it's hard, because she always comes with a flurry of charm and compliments, and somehow you feel rude drawing the line. She plays the part of the overwhelmed single mom so well, you almost forget she has daily standing appointments with estheticians and a live-in nanny and housekeeper. It's not that we don't like Logan. It's that we're all tired of being cornered, guilt-tripped, or volunteered for duties we didn't sign up for. It's not friendship. It's convenience, for her. And what's wild is that if she just asked or even tried to build real relationships, someone might have actually wanted to help. Instead, we all tiptoe now. We avoid talking about weekend plans in the parking lot. Playdates are planned in private DMs. Some moms have started saying we're going out of town when they're just going to the science museum. And maybe that's harsh. But so is being used over and over again under the guise of sisterhood. It started the way most childhood friendships start these days. After all, Logan had been spending a lot of time at our house, eating our snacks, playing with our board games. It started with video games. Luca and Leo came home from school one day practically vibrating with excitement, talking over each other as we sat down for dinner. Forks forgotten, elbows on the table, their voices climbed higher with each new detail like they were describing a mythical land, except it was real. And apparently, it belonged to Logan. "Mom," Luca started, wide-eyed. "Did you know Logan has a 100-inch TV? A Samsung one," Leo jumped in. "Like, one of the really good ones. With the clearest screen in the world. And he's got a PlayStation hooked up to it," Luca added, like that was the crown jewel of the whole thing. "Not just a PlayStation. Every single game. Like, everyone. He said his dad sends him new ones in the mail every week." I raised an eyebrow, but didn't say anything. They were too far gone. "He has his own game room," Leo continued, holding his pizza like a microphone. "Not in the basement. It's like, its own room. With lights in the ceiling and buttons on the wall that change the color. And there's a butler," Lucas said, dropping it like a bomb. "A real one. Like with a suit and gloves and everything. You just ask for snacks and he brings them to you." "Anything," Leo clarified. "Logan said he once asked for an ice cream sandwich and a grilled cheese at the same time, and the butler brought both. And there's a fridge in the wall with sodas and waters and a built-in ice machine." They were glowing. Totally swept up in Logan's world. And as they went on, the details got even more outrageous. "He's got 12 arcade machines," Luca exclaimed. "All standing up, like in a real arcade. Pac-Man, Street Fighter, all those ones. And gaming chairs. 5 of them. And 3 big, puffy chairs, the kind that you just sink into and never want to get up from. And a huge couch," Leo added. "You could probably sleep on it. Logan says sometimes he falls asleep in there while he's playing." I chewed my food and nodded slowly, watching their faces as they spun this digital fairy tale, eyes wide, cheeks flushed, little hands gesturing midair like they were trying to build Logan's game room out of words alone. I could already tell what was coming next. "Can we go?" Luca asked, trying to sound casual but failing miserably. "Yeah," Leo chimed in. "Just for a little while?" "Logan said we could come over sometime. He said his mom would totally be fine with it then." It happened on a Tuesday. I was in the kitchen finishing dinner, just the usual weeknight shuffle of checking the oven, wiping down counters, and mentally reviewing tomorrow's to-do list, when the front door burst open. In came Luca, Leo, and Logan. Logan, with his overstuffed backpack, trailing behind like this was the most natural thing in the world. "Mom," Luca called. "We brought Logan home." "You what?" I asked, stepping out of the kitchen just in time to see all 3 boys kick off their shoes in a blur of flying laces and excitement. "His mom never showed up," Leo explained, like it was no big deal. "She wasn't at pickup, and Logan didn't know what to do, so we told him to come with us." "Yeah," Luca added. "We figured you'd know how to find her." I stared at them, Logan looking a little too hopeful, Leo with his backpack half unzipped and already halfway into a snack, and Luca standing tall like he'd just solved a major crisis. My first instinct was panic, but I swallowed it down. I smiled. "Well," I said gently, "of course. That's totally fine, boys." Inside, I was already spinning. No text. No call. No heads up. Just, Logan. Delivered Straight from school to my doorstep by my well-meaning, slightly too confident twins. I made them all a plate of apple and orange slices, something to snack on while I sorted this mess, and slipped into the hallway with my phone. I tried Brianna first. No answer. Straight to voicemail. Then I sent her a text message. Still nothing. I eventually called the house number I'd been given months ago, barely used, mostly for emergencies. To my surprise, the butler answered, as formal and calm as ever. "I will pass along the message, madam," he said after I explained the situation. Like Logan missing from school pickup was something that happened every Tuesday. By 9 p.m., I still hadn't heard from her. And then, finally, she called. "Oh my gosh," she said, in that airy, detached tone she always used, like the entire world was just slightly beneath her. "You are literally saving me right now. I'm so sorry. My car broke down on the way to the salon, and I knew I wasn't going to make it. Is Logan okay? Could he maybe stay the night?" She didn't even wait for me to answer before launching into how stranded she was, how grateful she was, how this wasn't like her, it absolutely was, and how she just needed one little favor. I looked over at the living room. The boys were curled up under blankets, their bellies full, faces still flushed from an hour of jumping on the trampoline after dinner. They were tired and happy, and I was too drained to argue. So I gave in. I told her Logan could stay. "Just this once," I said. Then I turned to the boys. "Okay, listen up. This is a very special, once-in-a-lifetime school night sleepover. That means no funny business. If you ever want to have a weekend sleepover, you need to prove you can handle this one. No games. No giggling. Lights out, heads down, straight to sleep." Amazingly, they agreed. They were too tired to argue. The trampoline had worked its magic, and within 20 minutes, all three were snuggled in sleeping bags and passed out like miniature logs. As I tiptoed out of the room, I shook my head. No warning. No backup plan. Just Logan, delivered by two little boys with the unshakable belief that Mom would fix it. And, as usual, I did. Later that night, after the dishes were done and the house finally fell silent, I sat curled up in my favorite chair with a warm cup of tea. The kids were asleep, the house was dim and still, but my mind was far calm. I kept circling back to Brianna's call. Why had it taken her so long to get in touch? Logan had walked out of school with no plan, no parent, no clue what to do, but she hadn't even picked up the phone until after 9 p.m. Something about it didn't sit right with me. As if reading my thoughts, my husband spoke up from the sofa where he sat half watching the late news. "It's funny," he said, setting down the remote, "that a brand new Jag would break down like that." I turned to look at him. "It's going to be hard to get parts for that car," he added, a slow grin pulling at his lips. "Real shame." I let out a soft, tired. "I was thinking the same thing," I said. And what did she think was going to happen to Logan? That he'd just, sit on the school steps until she finished her spa day? He shrugged. She knew one of the moms would step up. She always knows. That's the pattern. We sat in the quiet for a few more moments, both of us letting it sink in. It was clear this couldn't go on. "We need to talk to her," I said finally. "Face to face. When she comes by tomorrow." "Agreed," he said. "She needs to know this isn't normal or okay." The next morning, I got up early. Logan had no overnight bag, of course, so I picked out a clean outfit from Luca's dresser that I knew would fit. A soft cotton tee, jeans, socks that matched. I laid it out carefully and then headed into the kitchen, making 3 pancake plates instead of 2. I packed 3 school lunches. I wasn't going to let the boy suffer for his mom's choices. The boys ate and got dressed quickly, still riding the high of the once-in-a-lifetime school night sleepover. They bounced out the door with their backpacks slung low, calling goodbyes over their shoulders as I stood on the porch in my slippers. We only lived 3 doors down from the school, so I watched from the steps as they jogged along the sidewalk, the morning sun casting long shadows behind them. I didn't head inside until I saw them walk safely through the front doors of the school building. Once the door clicked shut behind me, I picked up the phone and tried Brianna again. Still no answer. No reply to my text. No missed call. Nothing. I just wanted to give her a quick update. Her son had clean clothes, lunch, and had arrived at school on time. You know, the basics of parenting. But apparently, she wasn't in a hurry to receive that information. I stared at my phone for a long moment, then set it down on the counter. Something was off. And if she thought she could ghost her way out of this conversation, she was in for a surprise. That afternoon, just after the final school bell, the front door opened and in came the boys, Luca, Leo, and Logan, like clockwork. I was wiping down the counter when I heard their backpacks hit the floor and their voices fill the hallway. But something about Logan's face made me pause. He lingered behind the twins, eyes low, his smile smaller than usual. When I looked up, he was standing at the edge of the kitchen with his hands tucked into his sleeves, like he was afraid to speak. Finally, in a quiet voice, he said, "My mom called the school today. She asked my teacher to tell me to come back here after class." He glanced up at me, then back down again. "She said she'll be here by 5. If that's okay, Miss Thomas?" The way he said it, soft, unsure, like he was bracing for rejection, hit me square in the heart. I saw the fear in his eyes, the kind kids shouldn't have to carry. Not over something as basic as being picked up after school. I smiled gently. "Of course, Logan. You're always welcome here. Come on, let's get you guys a snack." The three of them scurried into the kitchen and settled into their usual spots at the table like they'd done it 100 times. I sliced apples, poured glasses of milk, and kept my voice cheerful while inside. Frustration churned like a storm cloud. She called the school and gave them instructions instead of contacting me. Not even a heads up. Not a single text. While the boys ate and laughed over something Minecraft related, I stepped into the hallway and picked up my phone again. I tried Brianna. Again. Straight to voicemail. Again. This time I didn't hold back. "Hi, Brianna. It's me. Listen, I'm not okay with how today was handled. This is your son. You cannot keep assuming someone else will pick up the pieces. We need to talk. Today. Please call me back." But she didn't. Not at 5. Not at 6. Not even by 7. It wasn't until 8:30 p.m. that my phone finally lit up with her name. Her voice came through rushed and clipped. "Hey, I'm in a hurry. Can you just send Logan out when I get there? I'll honk." I stood frozen for a second, the phone pressed to my ear. I opened my mouth to say no. "We need to talk," but before I could even finish inhaling, the line went dead. She had hung up. No apology. No plan. Not even the decency to come to the door. I stood there for a moment, staring at my reflection in the hallway mirror, stunned, not just by her carelessness, but by the way she was now treating my home like a free, unlicensed aftercare center. Worse, like it was a given. I turned back toward the rec room. The boys were sprawled across the floor cushions and beanbags, eyes locked on the glowing screen where Transformers was playing at full volume. Giant robots clashed in slow motion while Luca reached blindly for more popcorn, never taking his eyes off the action. Leo and Logan were whispering excitedly during every explosion, their voices rising with each twist in the battle. They were completely absorbed, nothing existed beyond the screen, not school, not bedtime, not the growing tension simmering just outside their little world. After that night, the 8:30 phone call, the honk instead of a door knock, something shifted. Brianna kept her distance. There were no more texts. No voicemails. It was like she'd pulled him back into her orbit and closed the gates behind him. The boys noticed, of course. "Is Logan mad at us?" Leo asked one morning, still half asleep over his cereal. "No," I said gently. "I think he's just busy." And he was. Or at least, that's what it looked like from the outside. The boys talked about how they barely saw him at recess anymore. He'd wave, maybe shout across the playground, but that was it. No more after-school games. No more sleepover requests. No more Logan. They missed him. And truthfully? So did I, in a strange, maternal way. I missed his shy smile, the way he fit into our house like one more book on a shelf, even though he came with more complications than most kids his age should have to carry. But I had no room for that drama anymore. My life was quietly shifting. My husband had just accepted a major promotion. He'd been offered a leadership position in his company's London office, a substantial pay raise, and the promise of a better work-life balance. He'd be heading his own team, working more consistent hours, and, best of all, he'd be home more. Present. A real presence, not just a tired voice at bedtime or a figure behind a glowing laptop. We made the decision quickly, but we didn't tell the boys right away. They were happy. Busy with school, friends, weekend trips. We wanted them to enjoy their last few months in the world they knew, free of countdowns and goodbye talk. We'd leave in July, right after the holiday weekend. The first week. A clean break. I thought maybe I'd seen the last of Brianna. But then, she came back. It started with a text. Casual. Breezy. Would love to have the boys over soon. Logan misses them. Game room's still open. I hesitated. The last encounter had left a bad taste, and I hadn't forgotten the way she'd hung up on me mid-sentence. But the boys had asked about Logan so many times. They still talked about his game room, like it was a fabled kingdom. So I said yes. She offered to have her chauffeur pick them up. That, too, should have been a red flag, but I told myself, just this once. Let them have their fun. And when they came back that evening, they were buzzing. They couldn't talk fast enough. Stories spilled out of them as they dumped their sneakers and kicked open the fridge. Mom, it's true. Logan does have every game. Like all of them. His TV is huge. Like, wall-sized. Bigger than at Target. And the butler made us sundaes. Like the ones at restaurants with whipped cream and a cherry and everything. I laughed, letting the sound fill the kitchen, but inside, I was waiting. Listening. And then it came. His nanny is so cool, said Luca, grabbing a juice box. She's really good at racing games. She beat all of us. Yeah, Leo chimed in, and the chauffeur picked us up in the black car. It was so fancy. Then at the house, I stopped mid-stir at the stove. Wait, I said gently. Just the nanny? Brianna wasn't home. Both boys looked up, blinking like I'd just asked a trick question. Nope, said Leo. It was just Tiffany, plus the maid and the butler. But it was okay. Tiffany was there the whole time. She's like 20-something. She even made popcorn. I smiled again. Nodded. Set the spoon down slowly. It bothered me, but it didn't surprise me. Not anymore. This was Brianna's style. Disappear, outsourcing her parenting through luxury and convenience. But I wasn't going to chase her down. Not now. Not with only 6 weeks left. There was no point in confrontation. No energy left to burn. We were leaving. I watched the boys pass a controller back and forth on the couch, shouting over some soccer game as the sun dipped lower in the sky. For now, they were happy. And that was enough. In those last 4 weeks before the move, we finally told the boys the truth. They were quiet at first, their shoulders slumping with the weight of saying goodbye to everything they knew, friends, school, the playground where they'd mastered the monkey bars. But then Leo asked, "Isn't London where Harry Potter lives?" And before I could answer, Luca shouted, "We're going to Hogwarts." And that was it. Off they went, chasing the magic. By the end of the week, they'd told everyone, their teachers, classmates, the crossing guard, that they were enrolling at Hogwarts next year. One kid even asked if they were going to be in Gryffindor or Ravenclaw. they answered, in unison. That's up to the sorting hat. The next time I saw the PTA moms was at the end-of-year meeting. I was sipping lukewarm coffee in a folding chair when two of them leaned over with curious smiles. So, are you guys going to the Wizarding World in Orlando? I blinked. The what? You know, Harry Potter World, one said, her eyes lighting up. The boys said they were going to Hogwarts. That made me laugh so hard I almost choked on my coffee. Oh no, I said, shaking my head. We're actually moving to London. Like, real London. The boys are convinced it's basically Diagon Alley with school uniforms. They all laughed with me, nodding along as I explained how excited the twins were, about trains, cobblestone streets, accents, and of course, the platform 9 3/4. That's when Brianna showed up. She appeared behind me like a shadow, flashing that practiced smile. Oh, Logan loves Harry Potter. He would be thrilled to go. I turned to face her. We're not going to a theme park, I said, trying to stay polite. We're actually moving. For my husband's job. She wasn't listening. Her eyes had glazed right over. When are you leaving? She asked, already rummaging through her handbag. Next Thursday, I said, hoping that would clarify things. Instead, her eyes lit up as if I'd just handed her a golden ticket. Well, she said, snapping her purse shut, I hosted last time. So it's your turn. I'll drop Logan off with an overnight bag, say 8 a.m. Thanks, girl. And just like that, she turned on her designer heel and started walking away. Behind me, the PTA moms exploded with laughter. I was standing there, stunned. No, don't bring Logan. I called after her. We're not hosting anything. We're moving. To another country. But she just gave a little wave without turning around and shouted back, you owe me. I will give him cash. Cash. Like she was sending him to a pizza party, not dumping him at my front door before an international relocation. I turned back to the other moms, who were practically wiping tears from their eyes. This isn't funny, I said, only half joking. She'll do it. She'll actually leave him on my doorstep. As the laughter died down, a few faces turned more serious. One mom said gently, I'll try to talk to her, another shook her head. You'll never get through. She never answers her phone. I once had Logan for 17 hours after a birthday party. She didn't even pick up until the next morning. I stood there, stunned for the 100th time since knowing Brianna. The final week came in a blur of boxes and packing tape. Every drawer emptied, every item labeled. The house was a maze of neatly stacked cartons, ready for the movers. We'd sold both cars, no sense shipping them overseas, and arranged to buy new ones once we settled in London. Every night, after the boys went to bed, I tried calling Brianna. Every night, she ignored my calls. Straight to voicemail. Always. I left message after message. Some polite. Some not. Then, the morning arrived. I was walking through the house one last time, running my hand over the doorframe where we'd measured the boys' heights in pencil marks. I paused at the windows, the kitchen sink, the old hallway rug we never replaced. So many memories. So many good ones. I whispered goodbye to what we once believed would be our forever home. Our airport shuttle was waiting in the driveway, big enough for all our luggage and the four of us. We were ready. It was time. Or so I thought. I was doing one final sweep through the kitchen when Leo came barreling through the back door. Mom. Mom, he shouted, eyes wide. Logan's coming with us. I froze. What? I asked, too stunned to even process the words. Leo nodded quickly. He's in the shuttle. He has a suitcase and everything. He said his mom told him he was coming with us. For a moment, my mind went completely blank. Then I whispered, she did it, more to myself than anyone. What, Mom? Leo asked, confused. I crouched down, steadied my voice. Take me to him, Me to him. We walked to the shuttle. And there he was. Logan, sitting comfortably in the back row, legs swinging, clutching a small suitcase. His face lit up when he saw me, completely unaware of the chaos he'd just stepped into. "Miss Thomas," he beamed. "I'm so excited. I went to the wizarding world with my dad once, but this is gonna be so much cooler." I blinked hard, trying to keep my emotions in check. "Logan, sweetie, when did your mom drop you off?" He shrugged. "I dunno, long time ago, maybe? She said you were taking me. That it was all planned." Before I could respond, the driver, an older man with kind eyes, turned in his seat. "I thought he was one of yours," he said, apologetically. "He was sitting on the curb when I pulled up. Just stood up, waved, and said, 'I'm with them,' and got in." I took out my phone, my hands trembling now, and started dialing. Straight to voicemail. Again. I called 6 times. Then 8. Each time, I left another furious message. "Brianna, what is wrong with you? I told you, we're moving. We're flying overseas. Not to a theme park. Are you seriously abandoning your son at my doorstep? What are you thinking? Call me. Call me now." Nothing. No reply. No response. No shame. I backed away from the shuttle, breath caught in my throat, and went to find my husband. At first, he thought I was joking. He actually laughed, until I pointed toward the van and he saw Logan sitting there, chatting away like he was headed to summer camp. It wasn't funny anymore. We had no choice. We called the police. The officer on the phone was calm but serious. He asked for Logan's full name, his mother's information, the timeline of what happened. I gave him everything, all while watching Logan through the kitchen window, still talking to the twins like this was the best adventure of his life. We pushed our flight to that evening, an expensive, chaotic scramble, but we didn't see any other way. Then came the part one dreaded. Telling Logan. I took a deep breath, stepped back out to the shuttle, and opened the door. "All right, boys," I said gently, "grab your bags. Come inside." They groaned, confused, but followed instructions. Logan smiled at me, waiting. "Not you," I said softly. "You stay here, Logan. I need to talk to you for a minute." Luca looked like he was about to protest, but I shot him a look that said, "Not now." I waited until they were gone, then sat beside Logan, who was still smiling, still expecting magic. And I knew, in that moment, there was no easy way to say what needed to be said. I sat beside Logan in the shuttle and tried to explain everything as gently as I could. That we were moving. That it wasn't a vacation. That we were going to a different country, far across the ocean. That it wasn't possible to bring him with us, no matter how much we loved him. As I spoke, he didn't say much. He didn't cry loudly or sob. He just sat there, silently, with tears streaming down his cheeks, his lower lip trembling as he clutched the small suitcase in his lap. And then he said it. The words that cracked something deep inside me. "But, can't I come with you?" he whispered. "Please? I'll be good. I don't want to live with Brianna." He said her name like a stranger. Like a child too old for his years. I couldn't help it. I pulled him into my arms and held him tight, burying my face in his soft hair, blinking back my own tears. That's when it hit me. A thought I hadn't considered until now. "What about your dad?" I asked gently. "Do you know his phone number?" He shook his head. "Mom says he doesn't love me anymore," he said, so quietly I almost didn't hear him. "She says he left because of me." I closed my eyes, a lump rising in my throat. Then, in an even softer voice, he added, "It's not really my dad who gets me the video games. It's the butler. I lie so people won't know my dad doesn't love me." Now I was crying. Silently, fiercely. I wiped at my face, sniffed, forced myself to stay steady, for him. "Logan," I said, keeping my voice calm, Do you know your dad's name? Anything that could help me find him? He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small, worn business card. The edges were bent, the print slightly faded, but still legible. He handed it to me like it was a secret he'd carried for years. "This is Daddy's firm," he said quietly. I looked down. I knew the name. A major law firm. I'd seen the commercials on TV, suits, skyscrapers, sleek offices. I scanned the list of partners on the card, and he pointed a small finger at the very top. "Donald Anderson," he said. "That's my dad." Still holding him, still rocking him gently, I stared at the name and nodded. Well then, I thought, we're going to call him. I kissed the top of his head, smoothing his hair as I dried my own tears, and his. Then I gently let him go, holding his shoulders as I looked him in the eye. "You go find the boys, okay? I need to make some calls." He nodded, sniffling, and got up slowly, walking back toward the house like a boy who'd carried too much weight for too long. I watched him go, holding the business card tightly in my hand, knowing that what came next was going to change everything, for him, and maybe for his father too. As Logan disappeared into the house to find the boys, the police arrived. 2 officers stepped out of the cruiser, their brows already furrowed. I waved them over, heart pounding, clutching the business card in one hand and my phone in the other. "I'm the one who called," I said quickly. "It's about a child, Logan. He was dropped off without warning this morning. His mother told him he was going with us, but we are moving to London." One of the officers, tall, square-jawed, serious, nodded slowly, listening. The other scribbled in a small notepad. "She didn't speak to me," I continued. "She didn't confirm anything. And this morning, he was just there waiting in our airport shuttle with a suitcase and his backpack." The tall officer shook his head, visibly stunned. "She what?" "She never listened," I said, my voice catching slightly. "She thought we were going to the wizarding world of Harry Potter, like this was some kind of vacation. I tried to explain we were moving to London, permanently. But she brushed it off. She always brushed things off." The officer watched me, his expression sharpening. "I've been calling her for 2 weeks," I continued, my voice tight with frustration and disbelief. "Voicemails. Texts. Everything. I told her exactly when we were leaving. She never replied. Not once." I paused. Swallowed hard. "And this morning, we're finishing up, doing the final walkthrough of our house, and my son comes running in, saying Logan is in the shuttle, with a suitcase. He was already sitting there, waiting. He told my kids his mom said he was coming with us. That it was all arranged." The officer blinked slowly. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came. I looked down, trying to steady myself. Then I added, quietly, "And when I told Logan he couldn't come, when I explained we were moving to a different country, he just looked at me with tears on his face and said, 'But can't I come with you? Please? I'll be good. I don't want to go back to Brianna.'" I choked on the last words. He didn't even call her mom. Just Brianna. The officer exhaled like he'd been holding his breath. "Jesus." I nodded, my voice trembling. "He begged me. He said he'd be good. He just didn't want to go back to her." His eyes darkened. "People like to think this kind of thing is a misunderstanding." He looked back at his partner. This wasn't confusion. This was deliberate. She tried to give her child away. He stepped back toward his cruiser, muttering something into the radio, and I stood there for a second, the weight of it all crashing down again. But I wasn't done, not yet. I pulled out the card Logan had given me, the one with his father's name on it, and stared at the glossy print. Donald Anderson, the name at the top. I had no idea what kind of man I was about to speak to. Maybe Brianna had told the truth. Maybe he was cold, distant, long gone from Logan's life by choice. I half expected a wall of legal assistance and firm policies. I expected indifference. Dismissal. Cold professionalism. But I had to try. I dialed the number, pressing the card between my fingers as it rang. "Good morning, Anderson and Lowe LLP," came a crisp, practiced voice. "How may I direct your call?" "I need to speak with Mr. Donald Anderson," I said, trying to sound calm. "I'm afraid he's currently in a meeting," the woman replied smoothly. "Would you like to schedule a consultation, or, it's about his son, Logan," I interrupted, firm and direct. There was silence on the other end. A pause that stretched a beat too long. Then, finally, the voice softened. "Please hold for Mr. Anderson." When the voice came through the phone, it caught me off guard, not cold or detached like I had feared, but warm and immediately alert. "Hello? This is Donald Anderson." His voice was laced with concern before I could even speak. "Is Logan okay? Is something wrong?" he asked quickly. "Who is this? Where's Brianna?" I could hear footsteps in the background, a desk drawer opening, the rustle of papers. He was already standing up, already moving. I took a breath. "Mr. Anderson, my name is Emma Thomas. I'm a parent at Logan's school. I'm so sorry to call you out of the blue like this, but we all would like to know where Brianna is. Logan's with me. And I think we have a situation." I told him everything. Slowly. Carefully. I explained how Brianna had misunderstood, or ignored, our plans, how she believed we were going to the Wizarding World in Orlando, not moving permanently to London. I explained that I'd been trying to contact her for 2 weeks, how she hadn't returned a single message, how she hadn't answered a single call. How Logan had shown up this morning, already in our airport shuttle, suitcase packed. I told him how Logan begged to come with us. How he said he didn't want to go back to her. How he didn't even call her mom. For a long moment, there was silence on the other end. Then, finally, he spoke. "I tried," he said, his voice low. "I fought like hell for joint custody. But I work long hours, and Brianna wanted to move across the country. The court sided with her. She took him, said she'd keep me in the loop. Said it would be better for Logan. I haven't seen my son in almost a year." He paused. I could hear his breathing change. "I'm going to fix this." I swallowed, heart aching. "Logan needs you. He needs someone." "I'm on my way," he said immediately, his voice sharp with purpose now. "I'm calling my assistant. I'll have the jet ready in an hour. Please, just stay with him. Keep him safe. Tell him I'm coming." I promised I would. After I hung up, I found my husband in the hallway, suitcase in hand, watching me with quiet worry. "What did he say?" he asked. "He's coming. As soon as he can get here." We looked at each other, both knowing what came next. Without hesitation, my husband called his office. He kept it brief, professional. "Just a family emergency. No details." They understood. He was granted an extension, a week's delay. "I'll take the twins," he said. "Someone needs to be there when the furniture arrives. You stay. Settle this." I nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. He left that night on the flight we were all meant to be on, our sons drowsy and confused, clutching stuffed animals and carry-on backpacks. I kissed them goodbye, told them everything would be okay. That mommy would be home soon. That Logan would be okay, too. And then, just like that, I was standing in a half-empty house, no furniture, no noise, just me and a boy I wasn't related to but somehow couldn't walk away from. Because someone had to stay. Someone had to choose him. The house felt strangely quiet. The boxes were gone. The rooms were bare. There was no furniture left, just soft echoes, sunlight filtering in through the windows, and the hollow stillness of a home that had already said goodbye. Logan sat on the floor in the rec room where the boys had once spent entire afternoons sprawled out with snacks and superhero movies. He was sitting cross-legged now, his suitcase beside him, a bag of trail mix unopened in his lap. I brought him a glass of water and sat down beside him, leaning back against the wall. For a while, we didn't say anything. Then, gently, I spoke. "Your dad's coming." Logan's eyes lifted slowly to meet mine, searching, uncertain. "He's on his way," I said. "He got on his jet, he said to tell you he's coming as fast as he can." His lips parted, but he didn't say anything. He blinked a few times, then wiped at his eyes with the sleeve of his shirt. "I didn't think he'd come," he whispered. "He is," I said softly. "Because he loves you. Because he's never stopped loving you." I reached for his hand and held it in both of mine. "Logan," I said, steadying my voice. "I want you to know something. I love you." He looked up, surprised. "I do," I said. "You're a part of this family in so many ways. You always will be. You're kind, and funny, and strong, and any mom would be lucky to have a son like you." He nodded, eyes glistening. "But this," I continued gently, "this is what's best for you. Being with your dad. Having someone who's really, truly there just for you. Not a nanny, not a butler. Your dad. Someone who knows you're the most important thing in the world." Logan leaned into me then, resting his head on my shoulder. I held him like I had that morning, wrapping both arms around him like maybe, just maybe, it would help glue his little heart back together. "I was scared," he said, voice muffled. "That you were gonna leave me, too." "I'm not leaving you," I said. "I'm giving you back to someone who never stopped looking for you." "That's not the same thing." After sitting on the rec room floor for what felt like forever, letting the silence between us do what words couldn't, I finally said, "Logan, how about we get some lunch?" He just shrugged, barely lifting his eyes. "I don't care." But I asked again, softer this time, "Anything you want." He paused, then looked up, a little uncertain. "Can I get a Happy Meal?" he asked. "They always feel like happiness." I smiled, heart twisting, and nodded. "Of course you can." We went to McDonald's, just the two of us, and I bought him not only the Happy Meal but also the optional book and the toy. One to keep, one to read. He smiled at the box like it was magic. I watched him eat, dipping fries into ketchup with childlike focus, as though he hadn't had a moment this simple in years. After he finished, he asked shyly, "Can I go play for a bit?" I nodded. "Yes, but just a little while, okay? We need to go see your dad soon." He gave me a smile, the kind only kids can give, and ran off toward the brightly colored indoor playground like he was finally, allowed to be a kid again. An hour passed. The police called and asked if I could come give a formal statement. I walked over and gently told Logan it was time to go. On the way to the police station, he stared out the window quietly for a while. Then, softly, he said, "The only other time I got to play at McDonald's was when I went to a birthday party there." I looked at him. "My mom says it's dirty," he added, then looked down at his hands. "But look, I'm not dirty." I wanted to cry, but I laughed instead, the way parents sometimes do when the heart can't hold anything else. "They clean those things daily," I said. "You're just fine." When we pulled up outside the police station, Logan suddenly stiffened. His small body went rigid, and tears started slipping down his cheeks. "Please, please," he whispered, panicking. "Can't I come to London with you? I'll be good. I promise." I climbed out of the car, walked around to his side, and opened the door. Without a word, I picked him up and held him close, right there on the sidewalk. His little arms wrapped around my neck as he cried softly against my shoulder. "I know this is hard," I whispered, tears falling freely now. "But we need to give your dad a chance. He wants to be here. He came for you." Then I heard it, a voice, clear and full of emotion, from across the lot. "Logan. My boy." We both turned. Standing there was a man, tall, dressed in a tailored suit, but with eyes so familiar it took my breath away. It was like seeing a grown-up version of Logan, standing just feet away, arms open, face full of tears. "Daddy." Logan sobbed. You came. I gently set him down, and he ran to his father, full speed. Donald Anderson scooped him up in one motion, clutching him so tight I could see both of them shaking. Logan cried into his chest, repeating over and over, I thought you hated me. His father pulled back just far enough to look him in the eye. Never. Never ever could I hate you, Logan. And just like that, they both burst out laughing through their tears, at some quiet joke I didn't understand. A memory, maybe. A word only they knew. Whatever it was, it made Logan smile like I hadn't seen before. A real one. Full and unguarded. And in that moment, standing on the curb outside a police station with my heart split wide open, I realized I had just witnessed something sacred. Logan didn't need rescuing anymore. He had someone reaching back for him now. We stepped inside the station, and almost immediately a social worker approached. She was kind, gentle in her movements, but as soon as she reached out for Logan, he panicked. He clung to me, arms tight around my arm, his small voice rising into a full cry. No. No. I don't want to go. I bent down, wrapped him in a hug, and whispered softly into his ear. It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe. You just need to go with this lady and answer her questions. That's all. He shook his head, tears streaking down his cheeks. I wiped them with my thumb, held his face in my hands. Logan, listen to me. It's so important you tell the truth. Just be honest. About everything. No one's mad at you. Everyone just wants to make sure you're okay. He stared at me, lower lip trembling. Will I come back to you? Of course, I said, voice steady. You'll come back to me or Daddy. I promise. He took a deep breath, the kind that rattled in his chest, and then gave a tiny nod. When the social worker reached for his hand again, he took it. As she led him down the hallway toward the child interview room, he looked back at me one last time. I'll be good, Miss Thomas, he said, his voice small but clear. You'll be proud. I smiled, holding back my tears. I'm proud no matter what, Logan. I love you. He smiled through his tears. Then he turned and walked around the corner. Behind me, Donald Anderson stood quietly. When Logan was out of sight, he stepped closer, his voice low. I'm really glad Logan has you, he said. Thank you. For everything. I turned to him, blinking back the emotions welling in my eyes. How could anyone not love him? He didn't respond right away, he didn't need to. His expression said it all. It was a long day. Papers. Interviews. Questions. Phone calls. No one was able to get a hold of Brianna. Every minute felt heavy with responsibility and grief, and yet, there was relief too. A sense that something was finally being made right. When the decision came in that Logan would spend the night with me, I nodded without hesitation. My house was empty, packed up, stripped of furniture, but that didn't matter. I'd sleep on the floor if I had to. Still, I said gently, I'll rent a hotel room. It'll be more comfortable for Logan. Donald paused, then shook his head. Let me pay for it. Please. It's the least I can do. I agreed, but only on one condition. You'll stay at the same hotel, I said. And you'll join us for dinner. He smiled, a bit surprised. You sure? I think Logan needs to see both of us there, I said simply. Side by side. No more half promises or disappearing acts. Just, steady people who love him. He nodded. Then I'll be there. The next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. 10 missed calls. All from Brianna. 15 texts. Rapid fire, furious, unraveling in real time. The preview on one read, How dare you? Another, What the FK is the matter with you? There was no apology. No concern for Logan. Just rage. Fury that the narrative had slipped out of her hands. I stared at the screen for a moment, then quietly turned the phone off and slid it back into my bag. She could scream into the void. I had other priorities. I got Logan dressed for the day. He was calm, lighter than I'd ever seen him, folding his clothes with careful precision and zipping them into his suitcase like someone preparing for a new life. As we rode the elevator down to the hotel restaurant, I asked gently, "Hey buddy, would you like to have breakfast with your dad? Just the two of you?" He looked up at me, eyes uncertain. "Will you come back?" I smiled and brushed a hand over his hair. "Of course. I just need to make a few calls." He thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah. I think that would be nice. Just me and Dad." As we stepped into the breakfast room, his father was just getting up to refill his coffee. "Go sit," I told Logan softly. "I'll be right there." He nodded and headed toward the table. I walked over to Donald, who looked up, startled but calm. "Hey," I said. "I just wanted to let you know. Brianna's been calling. Non-stop." His jaw tightened slightly. "I'm not surprised. She knows she's been found out. She'll fight, but only to keep control. Not because she actually wants him." I nodded. I was going to step out, call her back. Let her know things are in motion. He looked at me, then lowered his voice. "I've already filed for full custody," he said. "I got my legal team on it the second I landed. But I want you to know. I'm not trying to take him away from you." His words caught in the air between us. I reached out, placed a gentle hand on his arm. "That's what I want too," I said. "I want Logan with you. He needs his dad. Someone who shows up. Someone who stays. That's the life he deserves." He blinked, his face softening, the weight of all of it settling into something that looked a lot like relief. "Thank you," he said. Quietly, then he looked past me and smiled. Logan was at the table, waving at both of us, holding up the juice menu like he was already placing an order for something exciting. He looked like a kid again. Just a kid. And for the first time, I really believed he'd be okay. I waited until Logan was settled with his father, until I knew he was safe and smiling over scrambled eggs and chocolate milk, and then I stepped outside into the hotel courtyard and turned my phone back on. Instantly, it lit up with chaos. Calls. Voicemails. Texts. Notifications piling up so fast the screen froze. I took a breath, then hit call back on the last missed call. It rang once. Twice. Then she picked up. Finally, Brianna snapped. "Where the hell have you been?" "Hi, Brianna," I said, calm and even. "I've been with your son." "Oh, don't start with that tone. You think you're so noble? Like I'm some monster? He was supposed to go with you. You invited him." "No," I said firmly. "I told you, repeatedly, that we were moving. Not going on vacation. Not visiting theme parks. Moving to another country." "You didn't listen." She scoffed. "You didn't make it clear. You always talk in circles, trying to sound smart. I thought you were just being dramatic, like you always are." I exhaled slowly, pressing my fingers to my forehead. "I called you. For 2 weeks. I left messages. I texted. I said the word move over and over. You didn't want to hear it. You didn't want to be bothered." There was a pause. Silence. Then, softly, too softly, she whispered, "This is going to ruin everything." I didn't respond. "This will ruin my custody," she said, voice shaking now. "My alimony, if they find out she choked on her words. "They'll think I abandoned him." I said, "Because you did." There was a pause. Then she hung up the phone. I called her back. When Brianna finally picked up the phone, I barely had time to say hello before she exploded. "Liar," she shrieked. "You planned this. You wanted to ruin me. You set me up. Her voice was sharp, panicked, completely detached from reality. You pretended you wanted to take him on a vacation, just so you could make me look bad. You conniving little. I closed my eyes and sighed, holding the phone a little farther from my ear, but she wasn't finished. Did he pay you? She screamed. How much did you make betraying me, huh? You bitch. You fake, smug, check your phone records, I said calmly, cutting through the noise. Or your call log. You'll see I tried. You just didn't listen. There was silence. And then, click. She hung up. And just like that, it was over. I stood still for a moment, letting the quiet settle around me, and this time I did not call her back. I just walked back into the breakfast room. Logan had migrated to a nearby table where a few kids his age were clustered around an iPad, laughing and shouting out answers to a trivia game. He was grinning ear to ear, completely at ease, his arms draped over the back of his chair like he'd belonged there all along. Seeing him like that, social, relaxed, safe, it felt like breathing after holding it for too long. I sat back down across from Donald, who had been quietly watching his son the whole time. He's so smart, he said softly, eyes still fixed on Logan. And social. God, he's just like I was at that age. I chuckled. Yeah, then I straightened, my voice shifting. But, we need to talk. He turned to me slowly, the warmth in his expression giving way to something sharper. It was subtle, but there it was, the lawyer. Steady. Measured. Focused. I told him everything. The full conversation with Brianna. The accusations. The name-calling. The paranoid belief that I'd somehow engineered this outcome just to ruin her. How she had twisted it all into betrayal, like I was the one who'd failed Logan, not her. He didn't interrupt. He didn't flinch. He just listened, jaw tightening slightly with every word. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair, exhaled through his nose, and said, "She's done. This is over. I'll make sure of it." I nodded. I believe you. We both glanced back toward Logan, now laughing as one of the kids got a question wrong and dramatically flopped across the table. Over the next 6 months, my life became a balancing act between two worlds, Laguna Beach and London. I spent my time helping with the custody case, flying back and forth, gathering testimony from parents, teachers, and neighbors. People were willing to talk, eager, even, once they realized someone was finally taking Logan's situation seriously. A few parents had saved voicemails and texts from Brianna. One mother even had camera footage from her doorbell system, clips of Logan being dropped off with a casual wave from the window and a now infamous line, "I'll honk when I'm back, just send him out." There were more stories. More patterns. Neighbors came forward and shared how often Logan had been left alone, sometimes overnight, sometimes for entire weekends. It painted a picture we already knew but needed to prove: Brianna hadn't just neglected her son. She had abandoned him, emotionally, physically, and entirely. And then there was the butler. It turned out, he'd only stayed as long as he did because of Logan. He told the court he couldn't bring himself to leave the boy alone. The truth about the PlayStation games finally surfaced too. They were from Donald, Logan's father, who had tried, at first, to stay connected through gifts. But Brianna had trashed the first few packages, and eventually he just stopped telling Brianna there had been a delivery. He confessed he hadn't known how to tell Logan the truth without upsetting him or getting fired. It wasn't the job I was afraid of losing, he told the judge. It was leaving him. The maid and the cook backed his story. They described Brianna's outbursts, never physical, but verbally cruel. Degrading. Vile. The kinds of things no child should ever hear. And no one in the courtroom, especially the judge, missed the fact that every single household employee had testified on Logan's behalf. In the end, it was an open and shut case. Donald was awarded full custody. His mother and sister both stepped in to help when work pulled him away, and as a happy coincidence, his firm, long eager for him to take on more European clients, had renewed the offer. With the custody issue finally resolved, he accepted. He and Logan now split their time between London and Los Angeles. And us? Well, Logan has sort of become our son from another father. That's what we call him, affectionately, when he comes to stay with us on school breaks or holidays. He fits right in. He always has. He and the twins have built their own kind of brotherhood, rooted in Minecraft marathons, shared bags of gummy worms, and an unspoken understanding of what it means to choose each other. And Brianna? Well, she was right about one thing. She did lose everything. Last I heard, she was working as a cashier at a Walmart in Nevada. It's a good job. Honest work. But it's a long, long fall from the marble countertop life of a trophy wife. The courts ordered a psychological evaluation and required parenting classes to get supervised visitation. But she never attended one class. There were no appeals. No letters. No visits. She disappeared. But Logan didn't. Logan stayed. He grew. He laughed. And every time he walks through my door, drops his backpack in the hallway, and shouts, "I'm home." I know we did the right thing. And for the first time, it felt like something resembling peace was within reach. If you've ever stepped up for a child who wasn't yours, if you've ever had to make the hard call when no one else would, if you've ever seen behind the curtain of someone else's perfect life and found something heartbreaking. If you've ever chosen to love, protect, or fight for a child because it was the right thing to do, not the easy thing, please leave a comment and tell us your story. You never know who might read it and feel a little less alone. Share your experiences below, whether you're a teacher, a neighbor, a family friend, or just someone who refused to look the other way. Let's keep talking. Let's keep showing up. And if you're still in the middle of your story, keep going. You're making a difference.